Hey, howdy, and a big welcome back to Clemhawks, folks. I'm Yak, ready to take you through yet another edition of a Minnesota Wild discussion here on the channel today. Let me tell you, it feels absolutely goofy now that free agency, the draft is all wrapped up with. Finally, right? Yesterday was the big day for free agency. Now we get into the quiet days of the summer, and here it is, like 85 degrees out. And yeah, we're talking hockey still somehow, some way, despite the Minnesota Wild not adding a big name free agent, not doing anything of substance really in free agency other than losing Bukestad and another guy that I can't remember. I did that yesterday. Don't worry, I got you covered in the video that'll be at the end of this video. But end of the time, it'll tell you right here, we are now entering the dog days of summer for the NHL. You've got July 14th all the way till about September 1st when camp talk really starts picking up, where it's going to be quiet. Yeah, you might have a name or two or a minor trade or two here from this point on, but for right now, my friends, this is where it gets quiet, and especially this year because so much was done last night, late last night, all day yesterday, and the night before, that really there doesn't seem to be much left to do. And for the Minnesota Wild, the biggest question here is you've got $2 million in cap space, maybe $1 million, depending on who you call up, who you have on your opening night roster come the start of the season. So that's a really difficult task to go out there and get a free agent. As far as I've been able to tell, everything I've kind of searched here in the past half hour before doing this video tells me the fact of the matter is the Minnesota Wild do not have any trade ideas in the works to try and generate something for cap space. I know obviously whenever you talk about the Minnesota Wild right now, Matt Dumba is the primary target and has been for years when I was covering the Oilers on YouTube. So you look at that potentially too. There is, yeah, okay, if there's one move, he's probably the domino that falls. That's $6 million this season against the cap that you can clear up, get done, and not have to worry about. And then, yeah, maybe you can start adding, moving pieces around, doing things and stuff like that. There you go. But for the Minnesota Wild, what I'm trying to get at here, and it's Nick Delorier that you actually lost there in free agency yesterday. That just came to mind. But what I'm looking at here is it does not appear there is much left to do for Bill Guerin this offseason if you're a Minnesota Wild general manager. That's kind of where we're looking, is really, right? Yeah, sure, there's maybe a trade, maybe a signing, but if you're not thinking about doing one of those two all off season long, you're not thinking about your job at all. You're probably on the lake sitting there just boating, right? And that's not what you want your general manager doing when he should be building a Stanley Cup contender or a Stanley Cup playoffs contender, anything like that. You want him going out there and working all summer. And that's kind of where this kind of looks for me, is it does not look for Bill Guerin that is he going to have to overly hard work this summer? No, not by the looks of it. It's a matter more so of working with the salary cap management, players, assets, team members, and saying, okay, how do we build a roster that's going to be the most competitive based on what we have come night one of the NHL season? And the hardest part of that is 90% of that work can't be done until about, what, September 30th? So that's where it's going to get really tough here for Wild fans, and just based on a look. This is an Edmonton Oilers fan looking at the situation saying, all right, my man Clem needs me to do Minnesota Wild on his channel now. That's the directive from up above, and I don't see that there's much else to talk about now that things are up and wrapped up. So, folks, that's really all it is. It's a do-nothing video because there's nothing to do. You get where I'm going with that? That's about as best of the way I could put it. Other than that, I am up on Oda here. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. We will have some Minnesota Twins stuff. We'll have everything wild that we possibly can, and I will keep you up to date with everything else going on that I possibly have time for. I am up on Oda here.